Imagine trying to find that missing firefighter with limited visibility, all while wearing this gear.
About 11:40, the House of Representatives actually started debating a third reading amendment on a House Bill 44, which is looking at some funding for different water projects in the state.
And you can see this haze in Cheyenne. I mean, this is nothing new. Yesterday's arrest of Andrew Weaver isn't the first time police have made contact with him.
Well, it's another day that looks pretty similar to what we would normally see on a general session. Plenty of committees meeting early at 8 a.m. and then the Senate and the House gavelled in at 10.
The polls aren't open yet. They open at 7, but poll workers are starting to arrive. Lights are starting to turn on. Finally, it's starting to feel a little bit like Election Day. What do you think is the likelihood of maybe being able to meet at the Capitol in March? And today is the last day of that 8-day virtual session. We've been covering it since it began on the 27th. Friday morning was different than any other day this week. The legislature didn't have any new bills scheduled for the day. The plan for committees on Friday was to listen to some presentations. On Monday, the Catholic Diocese of Cheyenne said the ongoing case regarding Bishop Joseph Hart has reached its conclusion. You may remember the case involved allegations of the sexual abuse of minors.
Well, Carrie, I think the first thing that's different is the fact that the legislature first met on January 12th, and today is January 27th, and we're talking about day 2. So I've covered the legislature now for 2 years, and I'm sure people who are from Wyoming are familiar. Once day 1 hits, usually it's hit the ground running, and it's a bit of a whirlwind covering the session. But it's day 2, and even the fact that it's taking place virtually, which is why I can report from home today, is slowing things down a bit as well.
Cheyenne police are asking people to avoid driving on West Lincoln Way this morning because of a fire. Fire crews responded to West Lincoln Way early this morning. Wyoming News Now captured this video around 1:30 a.m. Officials say crews are working to put out a fire at the hitching post inn. We did place a call to fire rescue headquarters around 2 this morning to find out more information. They told us they didn't have any details they could give yet and to call back later this morning. Cheyenne police said to avoid driving on West Lincoln Way between Missile Drive and Westland Road. That was around 4 this morning. The PD says there's heavy smoke reducing visibility and also breathing hazards. Cheyenne Fire Rescue did confirm they were still on scene around 4 a.m. this morning as well. And we plan on continuing to update this story as more information becomes available. Wyoming state senators and representatives signed a letter asking Governor Gordon to join Texas in that lawsuit. Senator Bo Biteman shared the letter on social media earlier this week. The letter is co-signed by other senators and representatives. It asks Governor Gordon to instruct the Attorney General to join Texas in suing other states to, quote, protect the sanctity of the election process. Senator Biteman said the governor responded by saying he'd instruct the AG to look into it. And Governor Mark Gordon did respond yesterday. The governor issued a release saying he supports the Supreme Court hearing the case, but Wyoming will not be joining the suit at this time. And Memorial Day is a day that the U.S. recognizes the men and women who have lost their lives serving our country. For us, it's one day of the year we intentionally remember them. For the families of those men and women, the loss is felt more than just one day a year, but today, Memorial Day, is still meaningful to them. After high school, Matthew Schwartz started thinking about joining the military.
He decided that he thought maybe joining the military, the Air Force specifically, and he actually was looking specifically at EOD, explosive ordnance disposal. So he, talked to me about it, give my thoughts, and I basically told him, that I knew he wasn't happy, and I knew that, he needed to break away and, do something else.
Explosive ordnance disposal, EOD. Tech Sergeant Matthew Schwartz was responsible for disarming and disposing of bombs.
Matt loved what he did, and most of them do. Most of your soldiers do. They love it. They wouldn't change a thing. Matt begged to go on this last deployment. I don't get it as a dad. I don't get it, right? But anyway, I would have found any excuse I could, right? But he had to go.
On F.E. Warren Air Force Base, there's a building named to honor Tech Sergeant Matthew Schwartz.
You have certain days that hit harder than others. Matt's birthday, the day he was killed. every day, excuse me, every day is, can be tough.
He was killed by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan in 2012. He's one of the many we recognize and honor on Memorial Day.
There's good days and bad days, and it isn't just Memorial Day, but Memorial Day to me as a Gold Star parent is other people are remembering Matt on Memorial Day. You know what I mean? So the parents remember you always, but the whole world remembers your child on Memorial Day.
After World War I, Memorial Day was expanded to honor all who have died serving in American wars. And in 1971, Memorial Day was declared a national holiday by an act of Congress.
At Matt's funeral, at the gravesite ceremony, we watched a 4-star general, a seasoned combat veteran, kneel down on one knee in front of Matt's wife and hand her a neatly folded American flag, the same flag that was draped over Matt's coffin. With tears rolling down his face, he could barely get out the words that he needed to say.
Now, the national moment of remembrance encourages all Americans to pause at 3 p.m. on Memorial Day for 1 minute of silence to remember those who have died in service to our nation. Mayor Marion Orr says when people see lights and sirens and roads closed off, they are expecting to hear from the mayor.
That's why I've kind of chosen to maybe be more active as far as communication.
Mayor Orr did send out information that was later released by the Cheyenne Police Department following a shooting in Cheyenne. Chuck Bain is the director of the Wyoming Law Enforcement Academy, and he says law enforcement tries to make sure that they're accurate with their information.
We tend to, in this day and age, be people of instant information, whether or not that it's correct, whether or not it's inaccurate, or whether or not that we're even thinking about what's the impact to people that are involved in an event, that they're a victim themselves. Maybe they're a relative of somebody who's been a victim.
He says social media can be a great tool for getting information out to people.
I think the greatest challenge for us in law enforcement is that information accurate to what needs to be out there, and is it helping or is it hindering?
For Wyoming News Now, I'm Grace Foulk. A group in Cheyenne sets up at the Beast Foundation while the sun is still coming up. More people start arriving around 10 to 7, lacing up their shoes before warming up on the courts. Frank Schenefeld says a friend from high school introduced him to the sport in 2007.
He said, you got to come down to the gym and watch these guys play this silly game. And we went down to the gym, watched them for a while. Next year, we were playing pickleball at Senior Olympics.
Don Shepard says the same person introduced him to the game.
I'd retired and he knew that, so he said, you need to come play pickleball. Pickleball, it's kind of a weird name, and I had things I was doing, and of course golf always in the summer, and one thing and another. Finally I went down there one time to play this pickleball game. Been at it ever since. It is just so fun. It's good exercise, it's good socialization. Love it.
It's addictive.
How many people do you say come in, play one time, and then you see them back every other week?
Counting you?
Counting me.
You know, I would say 90%.
Yeah.
In 2019, a report shows pickleball was becoming more popular around the country, seeing participation grow by nearly 10% over 3 years.
We've been playing for, well, not decades, but years and years, and you just get concentrating on something else, and you have no idea. Let's just go off.
A I've been told pickleball can be addicting, and after a few short lessons, I can tell you I definitely agree. For Wyoming News Now, I'm Grace Foulk.